Hi guys, I hope you're having a better day than me. You're wonderful, young, fresh, vibrant students. Look at this, look at this, look at this up here. It's Friday, it's 10:15. What are you doing? Drinking, partying, observing nubile members of the opposite sex dancing around some exciting nightclub somewhere? Not me. I'm thinking about you and your academic improvement. So here I am. I'm going to do a screencast on the next level of InDesign. So you guys can make your portfolio, become fantastically wealthy by getting an extremely well-paid job in some wonderful, fantastic bohemian product design company somewhere building miraculously huge civic structures in Kazakhstan. So let's get started, because I would not want you to miss out on the incredibly exciting things that I'm going to convey to you right now. In InDesign, to make a new document, you go to File, New Document, or press Ctrl-N on the keyboard. It's a kind of keyboard shortcut to make your life easier. Always thinking of you. So here we go. We get this little dialog box up here. Number of pages. We might as well start with just one. I'm going to let you in on a secret. In the end, we might have a few more. We're going to set to A3. Landscape, and we're going to go to 12 as the number of columns for basically all the reasons that I've outlined before. I'm going to go through it again. You know what I'm talking about. Here we go. Make sure they're not set to facing pages. We don't want primary text fade either. If I sound slightly facetious or maybe a little bit stressed or depressed, it's because I've already done this screencast once. It took about 45 minutes on this timer up here. Then when I got to the end and decided I was going to listen back to it, guess what? There was no sound. So here we go. Let's start. I'm going to switch the rulers off. We've got everything here. Press Tab so that we've got all of the boxes in. Beautiful. What we're going to be going through today is setting up a page, but rather than doing what we did in the first walkthrough in InDesign, we're going to, rather than working on the pages here, we're going to work on the master page. The master page is a way of sort of automating your document. So rather than having to design each individual page so that it looks consistent and follows all the same rules, you can essentially use this as a kind of in-document template to make sure that all of the pages are essentially exactly the same, but it's the content that varies. You can still make changes on the pages and you can rearrange them as you see fit, but the master page is kind of like the script that you can always come back to as you improvise around it. So make sure that you've got a master selected. We're on pages, a master, and make sure this one is selected. In the sessions that we do at a university, for some reason everybody always ends up working on the page anyway, but I don't want you to do that now because I'm not there to show you what to do when it doesn't work. So make sure that you've got a master selected. Beautiful. Here we go. Lovely. This is going to work. Hurrah. And you'll probably be able to hear me. We're on a master page. We've got our lovely 12 section grid just here, and we're going to lay the page out. So click F on the keyboard. F, remember, is the picture frame tool. You can see that the change happens up here on this little thumbnail for the master, and it also happens here on page 1 because the page 1 is going to inherit essentially all of the changes that we make to the master page. So I'm just going to stick an image in here. Today's document is going to be based on photos that my brother has taken. Chris Fifield-Smith, exquisitely talented photographer. Command Alt Shift C. Or, if you can't be bothered to remember that particular shortcut, right-click, fitting, fill frame proportionally. If you guys remember from the first session that we did, that's a cheery picture, isn't it? Look at that. Jesus. That's where your hamburgers come from. If you can remember from the first session that we did, picture frames have got two sections. They've got the outline section, which is this blue frame. And when you make changes to that, it doesn't really affect anything else. And then you've got the inside section, which is this orange framed image inside the frame. So I'm going to sort of build my page around this image. So I'm just going to stick a sort of a colour block just here. And again, just click everything into place around the frames. Now, what I'm going to do is to pick a kind of spot colour off this image. I might as well use this, either the sort of greeny colour or this vile red. Let's have the red. That's a bit gruesome. No, it's too macabre. I can't do it. That'll do. So we've got this colour here. Now what I could do is just to apply this colour to this shape just here, but I want to be able to use this colour throughout the rest of this page, so I'm going to actually make a swatch using it. So if you get to the swatches palette by going to colour swatches or pressing F5 on your keyboard, here it is at the top, just click new, blip, there it is down at the bottom. So if I select this box here and then click on the swatch, it automatically changes it to that colour. So I'm going to add 2 square images down here, so they're going to be 3 frames wide each. And again, I'm just going to make sure that I've got the correct gap just here. Press Ctrl K to get the preferences up. I'll make sure that I've got a 0.5mm cursor key so I can access that 5mm gap just there. If you remember, using this universal gap is a very sort of cheap and easy way of maintaining precision across the rest of your document. I'm just going to draw another frame in here at the top, just a big wide one. Ctrl D to drop the pictures in, remember. I've got a nice wide image just here. So I can access that exact 5mm gap there. Let's pull this end in so that it fits the thing there. So it fits the thing. Coolio. And we can click W to get a sort of print preview of it. I'm going to stick a block of text in just here, which is going to say Safari, because this example page that we're making up is kind of a load of Safari pictures. There's a couple of reasons why I'm using photos from Chris. One reason being I think they're really nice, and the other reason being I don't have to pay the license on them, because I kind of hope he won't sue me. Maybe he will, who knows. Right, make sure that you've got the T selected when you've got the text selected. I'm going to colour this into my spot colour. Select the text box. I'm going to bottom align it vertically so that it's at the bottom of that text box, and then scale that down. That's pretty much exactly what I want. I'm going to stick this text box at the top. I'll just reduce the font size down. Chris Fifield-Smith. That's his name, obviously. There we go. Stick that up at the top. Pronounce that tracking change there. Wonderful. I want that to be no gap at the top there. Right. Same down there. That's okay. Right. What I want to do is, you see I've saved this swatch just here. What's cool about swatches in Photoshop, if you guys remember, in Photoshop, swatches are stored externally to the files that you're working on. In InDesign, they're stored internally. They're actually a core thing. So all of these different things that are this colour are linked to this swatch. So they're not just that colour, they're actually linked to this swatch. So if I open that swatch up and make changes to it, everything on the page that is that colour is affected by the swatch change that I've made. So it's a really, and not only on this page, but the whole document as well. So it's a really nice way to keep control of all of the colours that you're using. I'm just going to put a little block of that colour up there. So remember, we've put the images in by pressing Ctrl D. We've got this text. You access the text boxes by pressing T on the keyboard or going over to here. You guys know this from the first session that we did. In addition to, so the way that swatches work with colours, I'm going to use paragraph styles, which you get by going to Type, Paragraph Styles, or pressing Ctrl F11 on the keyboard. Now this little palette just here of paragraph styles is essentially 2 font settings what swatches is to colours. So if I click on this Safari just here and rename this headings, basically now any text that I've got on the page, if I select it and click on this just here, it automatically changes it to the style of this paragraph style, which is headings. And this is going to be the title for each page. This is going to be useful to have set as headings, because this is also going to be how we're going to control the contents at the right at the end. Now, sort of everything that I'm going through today is going to be about kind of automating your process so that you can concentrate more on other things in life, things that you should be doing instead of putting your portfolio pages together. So let's make a new paragraph style for this. I'm just going to call that name. Actually, probably won't need a paragraph style for that because I'm not going to change. He's not going to change his name through this document. I'm going to make a page for, there's going to be 4 pages, and they're each going to have a different sort of photographic style on them. So this bit's going to change to describe that. Obviously, that bit's not going to change. I'm going to put just 2 blocks of text in here. If this was a proper work document, then would have like maybe some descriptions of what the projects were, or a little bit of copy or text, something like that. So let's just get this into place. So I'm going to use my universal gap again, just make sure that it's lined up there at the top. Shift down cursor key to get that. I'm going to double the cursor space so that we've got 10mm, 1 centimeter gap, 1, 2. Because with a block of text, the way that we're going to work this, it might end up looking a little bit cramped. Right. So I'm satisfied that that one's okay. We're going to have 2 columns of text. So the text is going to flow down here. The text is going to flow down here and then down here. Now, the way that it works at the moment, if we've got, I'm just going to do some bullshit text now. Copy, paste, 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 paste. So imagine that I'm text typing information in here. When I get to the bottom of this text box, it just fills the text box. That's it. It doesn't go anywhere. This little square with a red cross appears in it just here to tell me that is a full text box. In fact, it's overflowing. So if I want to put that text so it flows from here into here, now I might have to start typing where I left off just there. That's a crap way of doing things, and it doesn't fit in with my automation plan for what we're talking about today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link this text box to this text box here, so that when this one's full, it just flows the text directly into this one. You can chain them as many as you want. This is how newspapers and magazines make columnar layouts to their own particular style. So I'm going to click on this little box just here, which is the second box up from this little transform box at the bottom. Click once on the left-hand one, and you'll see this little cursor change happens. I'm going to roll over this next text box, and you'll see that the cursor changes from this to this cursor with the links on it. So when I click now, that means that it's linked this one. So you see you've got this little arrow pointing in, and this arrow pointing out. So it's linked this text box to this text box. So now if I put my text in here, when it flows to the end of this, it goes into the next text. So if I've got the cursor just here and move just backwards and forwards using the cursor keys, it treats it as essentially one single text box. Now, I don't have any text to actually put in here. You guys know that I always recommend that you style your text, you write all your text in another program, so you get everything ready beforehand, all of your assets ready beforehand, and then drop it in afterwards, copy and paste it in. So you can use InDesign's layout tools, but you use maybe the text creation tools that you're more used to in, say, Word or something like that. But I want to, certainly for the master page, I want to have some text here so I can style the text, but I don't necessarily want any real text. So if you go to Type, Fill with Placeholder Text, it puts in a load of what we call lorem ipsum, which is basically just fake Latin. It doesn't make any sense if you read it. Ibusam nil hil mi est adio maio bererit amrahent se namki destio motaquam quos el int quid ut optai. No, sorry, blah blah blah. No, that exists to bamboozle clients. So what I'm going to do is just style this text now. I'm not worrying at all about what it says. But for this, let's just reduce the font size, increase the leading. I'm going to put my 5mm gap in between the column paragraphs. paragraph. I'm just going to kill the hyphenation as well. Switch to justified. Yeah, that looks fine, whatever. Now, if you look over at the paragraph style, basic paragraph is highlighted, and that indicates that this text style, this load of text here, was basically derived from what the original basic paragraph style was, but we've made changes to it, and that's why there's a plus just here. The plus indicates that it's been, changes have been made, and actually when you hover over it, it says overrides, option click to clear, size 10 points, blah blah blah. And these are the changes that we've made. So those things there, leading 14 points, and it is leading, not leading. Don't get that wrong, guys, or I'm going to hunt you down. Hyphenation, space after 5 mil, blah 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 blah. So all these are changes. So what we can do, if we right click here and click redefine style, then it basically now the plus has gone away. What's happened is that the basic paragraph style has been updated to the style of this text here. So now if we make a new text box, by default it will have that paragraph style that we've just defined. So that's a really useful way of, again, automating this. Now next time you make a new text box, you don't have to like go back through character and control it to be the exact settings that you want. So let's just have a quick look at this. Cool. Yeah, I'm satisfied that the layout for this is okay. I have already made it once today, so whatever. I'm going to add one more little detail in down at the bottom. I'm just going to put a text box just here. Okay, I'm going to go to type, insert special characters, markers, current page number. Or, oh, let's look at that. I love these really long, ridiculous. It's going to save so many minutes in your day. Alt Shift Control N. Let's do that instead. Basically, this is going to add in the page number that we're on. And confusingly, it says A. But the reason for that is we're on the A master rather than page 1. So I'm just going to style that to be how I want it to be. Nexa black, obviously, because Nexa is the best font. Cool. So let's just zoom out. Wonderful, there, that looks lovely, doesn't it? So we've spent 15 minutes making that. Brilliant. So remember that, 15 minutes to design the page. Now I already knew what it was going to look like because I've already made it once today. And it's the same sort of layout that we did in the session in class, so it's not completely new to me. But so we've got a little colour block up here, 5mm block here. We've got this universal spacing. Everything's really tight. There's a really nice grid around everything. I'm satisfied with the way the layout looks now. And we've made these changes, so we've got the Safari here. Here, this is all controlled up here, and we've got a swatch for the colour just there. So let's just switch on to page 1. See, nothing changes other than that it now says 1 down in the corner where we had the master, the current page number inserted. All looks fine. One thing that you'll notice now is that you actually can't select anything on this page, and that's because these are all set as master page items, which means that you can't change them because they're connected to the master page. Now, changes that you make on the master page roll through to the page, and I'll show you a little bit more about that in detail in a minute. But we're going to add in 3 new pages, 3 pages after page 1 with the A master. And now you'll notice that those pages are all exactly the same, 1, 2, 3, 4, other than obviously the current page number, which is automated, as I said. But again, one feature of these is that we can't change anything. So we're going to go over to the pages, select everything, held down Shift to select all of those, right click and click override all page master page items, Alt Shift Control Command L. I don't want to do that, just click on that. Wonderful. What that means is it pops these items out from being just master page items. They're still linked to the master page, but we can now change them. So for example, I'm going to change the text here to say macro. Click on the images. Somebody in class asked, how do you delete these images? Yes, you don't need to. We're just going to click on the frame, Control D, Command D on the Mac, and you just select the image that you want to go into that frame, and it will replace whatever's in that frame already. There we go. Let's use this. This is a macro photograph, so it's an extreme close-up of a butterfly. Now I'm just going to zoom in. You notice that it starts looking a little bit choppy when you get in close. There's a lot of pixelation going on here. Now that's not because this is a crap picture. It's because InDesign doesn't want to do a full resolution preview because it's going to chew up RAM. It's not a problem for me. I've got loads of RAM. I don't need to worry about that. Also, this isn't a massive document, so it's not going to fall over. So the way to even temporarily get a little preview on this is to go to View, Display Performance, High Quality Display, and that'll switch to a full resolution preview. You can see that all of the choppiness is gone, and you can see the teeny tiny details, which means you can make small changes if you so desire. So I'm just going to replace all of these images. Now remember I said it took 15 minutes to build this original document. The beauty of this approach that we're doing today is that once you've built your original document, actually going through and populating and repopulating the pages with your updated content. Let me just save this because it makes me feel a bit funny not to. Actually repopulating your pages with content is extraordinarily fast. So I'm going to add in a new swatch. I'm going to pick a nice vivid green off the face of this insect. That one's pretty vivid. So let's grab these filled shapes and colour them this green, and the text that is the colour of that, make sure that I've got text selected up here, not the box but the text, and switch that over to that bright green as well. Now actually I'm not completely satisfied. I think that green is a little bit too ridiculously bright and vivid, so I'm going to pick a slightly darker green off the face of this insect. And what I'm going to do is, you watch what happens whilst I do this. We've got this ludicrously bright green, which I think actually would print badly. I think it might be out of gamut for most CMYK prints when it gets converted. I'm going to drag the colour down from the top of the palette there onto the existing swatch. Now when I let go, you see it updates the swatch and it also rolls that change through to everything that's coloured by that swatch. That's why working with swatches is pimp, because you get to retain this super live control over everything throughout your document. Right, so that took 5 minutes with all of that chat to update that. Let's see how quickly we can do this one. So the next one is HDR, which is a photographic technique which combines multiple exposures to maximize the dynamic range of the image. So let's just pick a nice HDR image out from in here. Nope. Yep, that's a super weird picture. Let's have it. Oh, what are you looking at? No, that's better. Oh, it's a bit weird. I'm not sure about having this spot colour now. Anyway, let's just drop some other colours in, some other pictures in. Got that wrong. Let's make sure that we're moving the picture rather than the frame. It's amateur hour. Now, I think what I might do is to pick this. I wonder if it will work if I pick the spot colour off this. I've got a nice red there. Add that in as a swatch. Any colour? Is that going to work? Yeah, whatever. It looks like it rhymes. You see, it's either going to be that red or this is the thing is it's a bit too close to the Safari one. I don't know what to do. Oh, do you know what? It turns out I don't care. Right. So the last one is going to be wheels. Here, this is going to worry me otherwise. Just going to rotate these pictures around. So let's have this for the tool, and so now I feel like I'm a bit more validated in using the see if we can get this to match just here. Perfect, right. This one can be the car one because that's a more of a sort of horizontally shaped picture. That's not the key combination I was looking for. There we go. And this one can be this one. There we go. That's cool. Let's drop that in. Wonderful. There we go. Beautiful. I personally think that the tools are the highlight of that rather than that peculiar head. So let's just crop it out completely. This is distracting. Right. So we're back on the cars. Obviously the heavy crop required for these kind of things isn't really, it's not the best way to display these pictures. I'm only using them because I quite like them. If you want to be much more like sort of like respectful to the way that the photographs were taken and the crop that was decided in camera by the photographer, this isn't the best way to do it. There's a whole lot of editorial going into like how the crops work on this. Obviously it's extremely tight crops on some of them, so you just have to accept my apologies for that. I'm going to pick up the blue from here for this. If we can get right in there. Blue, blue. 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 Great. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. They've all got extremely consistent layout. They've all got a rhyming sort of visual colour that pops into the main image. That one should be the red off there, but I think it would just be a bit horrible. And they've all got text which is formatted in exactly the same way. They've all got correct page numbers. Brilliant. So we're allowed to feel good about ourselves. Make sure that you save your document, otherwise you will not retain it when your computer crashes. Okay, so I'm going to show you one more thing. We're going to make another page. It's going to go at the beginning of the document. It's going to have no master. I'm just going to put in a bunch of pictures at the bottom like this and make them 3 columns wide. Control D. Remember, all I'm going to do now is just drop in the pictures that we've already used. So Safari, Scary Lion, Macro Butterfly, HDR Poppy Field, Fancy Pants Formula 1 car. I'll put that just there. Is that going to make sense? Yeah, that's fine. And now I can actually just put in a little colour rectangle in top of all of these. Let's just make sure that they are gap consistent. So now, because I've got my spot colours, these are really easy just to quickly do like this. I'm just going to put a block of text at the top which says, and remember I can just access these font styles now. Actually, let's have that in heading. And this bit in name. Chris Fifield, double-barreled name. And I'm going to change the colour of these from this khaki grey to 75%. Oi, amateur hour. Text. 75% grey. That's what I actually wanted to do. I did that other bit on purpose because of reasons. Cool, so that's going to be sort of our cover page. But we're going to put a contents on here, table of contents. Now the way to do a table of contents is basically, it took me a little while to figure this out from mucking about. You have to design, sort of pre-design your table of contents before you have the computer automatically make one for you. So let's just draw a text box just here, which is where it's going to go. You write in contents, return page tab 1, return page tab 2. And then style each one of these individually. So that one's going to be based on the name. It's going to have the colour of 75% grey. Reduce the text size slightly because I don't want it to be confused with this. I still want it to have a 5mm gap just here. I'm just going to increase the text size of these. Blah, 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 blah. And they've got 5mm gap just there. Now, I want these numbers here to be on the grid. So this tab added in here is how the table of contents tool controls where the spaces are. So if you press Control Command on your Mac, Shift T, you get this thing pop up. And what this is, you notice that it's in line with this text box. It basically lets you control where the tab breaks are. So when you tab now, it will tab to just there. So that's the first tab. That's all I really need to do for that. So what I'm going to do is I've got these selected. I'm going to click New Paragraph Style, and this paragraph style is going to be called Contents Entry. And this for the contents header is going to be called Contents Header. It's not complicated. There we go. So actually that box now, we've got Contents Header and Contents Entry designed. That is surplus to requirements. We're going to do it for real. Layout, table of contents, and you'll get this dialog box come up. And it gives you a whole load of choices. Title, contents, that's what it's going to say at the top of the contents. And I'm going to style this. Oh, look at that, contents header. That's handy. It's almost like I knew that was going to happen. So that's why you do the design first. Style, entry style, contents entry. So those are consistent and set up. Now it's this bit here, styles and table of contents, include paragraph styles. Now the way that this works is, I'm going to click on headings because that's what the heading on each page was styled in, add. The way the table of contents is generated is, InDesign goes to each page, it looks through each page and sees, is there anything on that page which is styled with this paragraph style? And if there is, it copies what that says, pastes it into the table of contents, and then puts the page number next to it after a tab that the text was originally on. And that's how it makes up the table of contents. So all I'm going to do now is click OK. And it'll ask you that. Yeah, that's fine. I can live with that. And you see it's got some of the content already in place. And inside here, so I'm just going to draw a text box here, 3-column text box. Let go. Boom. Table of contents. So click W just to give it a preview. So this is useful because it's actually been automatically generated, but you can update it at any time. So for example, macro is on page 3, which you can see 1, 2, 3 just here. If I grab that, move it to page 2, it doesn't automatically change, but if you go to layout, update table of contents, after you've selected that table of contents and then click use, you notice that it adjusts it just here. So essentially that's it in terms of the table of contents. So this is useful for you guys with your portfolios, because if you, for example, have an interview at a company that does footwear, for example, and you've got some examples of footwear design in your portfolio, you can move that page up to prime position at the beginning of your document, update the table of contents, and then everything will be properly in order. So there's not a whole lot more to add. We've got a very sort of high level of control over everything, even now that the document is made. We'll just show you one couple of little things about how the master works. If we click on the master page just here, let's say we click on the text, hold down shift and click up, so that then I've got a gap between the bottom of this and the top of here, and it's a nice little sort of mirrored gap because it's the exact same height as that there, because we've got this gap. That change rolls through, okay, to the rest of the document. If I was to change the position of this on the master, on the local page here, on one of the smaller pages, what that does is it breaks the connection between the position of this item on the small page here, the actual page, and the master page. So the ones that I haven't made that change on, it's still connected. But on the page where I have changed the position of that, it sort of breaks that connection between that and that. All I can recommend to you guys is that you play around with the master pages and get your head around exactly how they function. It's extremely useful, but it's a little bit weird and it takes a little bit of time to get used to, I think. But it's sufficiently useful that it is worth your time to do so. So please do. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me when I'm in uni, or if you go down to the comments down below, ask me a question there, or email me, or on account of how I'm psychic, just concentrate really hard on your question. Put some lavender under your pillow, go to sleep, and I will appear in your dream and tell you the exact solution to your individual problems. And I hope you have a really nice Friday night. No night, sleep tight.